Hello, mamas. Welcome to the Mama Advocate podcast. I'm really glad that you're here with me today. I know I say that every week, but truly, this is my joy that I get to help just come alongside you in this journey that's so hard sometimes. And we need people that know how hard it is and that can relate to us. And so I'm glad that you're here with me. We're going to take a break from guest this week. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about back to school and how to set up our mornings to be successful with back to school. Because this one's a doozy, right? I feel like our getting out the door in the morning has always been one of the most difficult things for us. Because I don't really want to wake them up so early that everybody's milling around and I need my quiet in the morning. And so there's a very fine line from letting them sleep and then giving them enough time to get everything ready. And so what I figured out, just kind of bringing in my mama systems world into the special needs world, because for me, they're all intertwined. Having a good nighttime routine is kind of the key to getting your morning off to a successful start. So I want to kind of go with you through what that looks like in my house, and then maybe give you some ideas for how we can implement that in your house as well. So here in the Hernandez household, we have what we call 5 o'clock jobs. And these are all things that I want my kids to prep for the next day. And how this works, and this sounds very basic, is that we have an alarm go off at 5 o'clock. And that alarm is on my phone, it's on my watch, it's on the Alexas. I mean, it's around the house. So everybody hears, everybody knows. And the goal with that is not only for my kids to hop up and get ready for the next day, but it's also for me to take note that I need to go cook dinner. Because I will often get into a space where I just completely space out about dinner and it's time for bed. And I'm like, oh gosh, I haven't fed anybody. What are we going to do? Right? We're out having fun, swimming, whatever we're doing. And dinner's just kind of snuck up on me. And so that 5 o'clock alarm just really helps me to stay on track with my day and to remember to feed everybody before they get hangry. So while I go into the kitchen and start cooking, everyone else is to do their 5 o'clock jobs. You know, in an ideal, perfect world, everybody would hear the alarm, they'd hop up and they would jump to. And we've had many days like that, but for the most part, I have to remind everybody that it's 5 o'clock and that they need to hop up and do their 5 o'clock jobs. Our jobs for 5 o'clock are broken down into three areas. One, prepping for school the next day. So that's laying out clothes, socks, shoes, making their lunch, packing their backpack, getting paper signed, plugging in their Chromebook, anything that they're going to need, you know, the very last minute right before you walk out the door that they're going to take 10 minutes to find. Let's get that done the night before. Be real specific about that. And if you have a kid that has no problem getting out the door in the morning, maybe they don't have that many things to prep. But for my special needs buddies and ones just with more dysregulation in their lives, they need a lot more support in that area. And so getting really clear about glasses, socks, shoes, all of those things, we get real specific about it. And that way there's no questions, right? They know what's expected of them. And I know that they know what's expected of them. So I think that sometimes, like in the meltdown my son Charlie had yesterday, he just kept saying, you weren't specific enough. You weren't specific enough. And I was like, I feel like we've been going over this 100 times a day forever. And I think that he is just, he was very loudly telling me that I needed to be more specific in my request of him. And so I think providing that support for our little buddies with visuals, with charts, with pictures, however you want to do that in your home, I think is so important. So that's number one of our afternoon jobs checklist. Number two is helping prep for dinner. This is great because I feel like I'm not doing it all. There were so many days that I used to feel like I'm in the kitchen, I'm cooking, I'm trying to set the table, they're in there making a mess, I've just cleaned the house, what's going on? I do everything. And just my attitude of bitterness and ticked offness, I think that should be a feeling. I don't think it is, but I think it needs to be, would just kind of swell up in me. But when I have them helping, when I have each kid contributing in a different way to dinner time, whether that's putting forks on the table, which my 3-year-old can do, or getting drinks for everybody, whatever that is, they're contributing towards the dinner process. And we become a team as we do that, right? Number 3, everybody has a zone or an area that they're in charge of. And this is can be as big or as little, however you see fit to that your kids can handle. That's what we're going for here. So with one of my sons, he is in charge of pillows and blankets in the living room. That's it. He just has to pick up the pillows, put them on the couch, pick up the blankets, put them in the little blanket holder. And what's joyous about this is that if I pass by the living room and the blankets and pillows aren't put away, I know exactly who hasn't done their job, right? It's clear for me. It is beyond clear for him. He knows what he's supposed to do. So these are just things that help set those expectations, get everybody on the same page, right? Of what you're doing, those clear expectations. Creating a chart or some sort of list or something for your kids, I think is really helpful. I do that for all of my clients that I work with. I get to make them little charts for their kids to help them know exactly what to do and when to do it. So get specific on time, get specific on location and the actual action of the item. So once all of that is done, when you go to bed at night, at least this is how I plan my afternoon jobs with this goal in mind. When I go to bed at night, I want the house to be picked up. I don't want to wake up in the morning and be tripping over stuff. I want the house to be picked up. I want dishes to be in the dishwasher. Everybody to be fed, to be clean. And if everybody does what they're supposed to do, which, we have very imperfect children. So it doesn't always happen like that. They're not angels that do everything they're supposed to do all the time. But when it does happen, oh my goodness, it is so beautiful and so wonderful because I wake up to a clean house. I can sit down, I can have my coffee, I can read, spend a little time journaling, all of those things. And I can kind of show up as my best self when I go to wake them up for school. So when they wake up for school, again, it's a lot calmer. Everything's ready for them in their little cubby or wherever they have laid it out, and depending on the kid. And they can get their stuff together and get out the door, like within a 10, 15-minute situation, right? And that is huge. It's huge. We kind of have staggering go times. And I have to confess that this is the first year I've ever spreadsheeted a system. Again, not sure if that's a word, but I've had to pull out a spreadsheet to keep track of who's going where, when, and who's picking them up, because our schools are crazy this year. We started how many kids? We started 7 kids in 5 different schools this past week. 5 different schools that are nowhere near each other. They're all like 10, 15 minutes apart. And so, of course, we delegated out a lot of that because I'm a big delegator. I know I can't do it all. Hands down. I want to remind you that you probably can, but that doesn't mean that you should do it all. So if there's ways that you can delegate out driving, if you can carpool, if you can hire a babysitter just for a couple of hours in the afternoon to help get people to their activities and stuff so you don't have to do it all, I really want to encourage you to do that. I just got a little sidetracked from our morning routine discussion. Back to the morning routine. I'm sorry, I could talk about systems all day long. It's my favorite because they bring so much peace and joy to me. And I know they will for you too. It's kind of counterintuitive. You think structure and you don't think freedom, but it's how it works because you know what you're doing and your brain's not constantly reeling of all the things you have to do. Okay, so in the morning, kids are kind of taken care of. How I make this a peaceful morning for me is by having my space and having that designated as my space. Like I have my chair and nobody's supposed to sit in my chair, and next to my chair, I have my little Bible, my book, my journal, my letter, like all the things I want to accomplish in the morning are all stacked up right there and ready to go. And so I'm not running around looking for stuff in the morning, but I'm prepared for what I want to be intentional with in the morning time. So I have coffee made already. It goes off at 5:15 in the morning, grab my coffee and I go sit down and everything's right there. And I think greeting your morning, this is lazy genius coming out of me, I think, just to give her credit, but greeting the morning and welcoming it in a peaceful way is kind of the goal here. Because I find when I'm more peaceful in the morning, when I'm not waking up to chaos, when I'm not waking up yelling at people to find their shoes or their sock, or they should have done this last night, like all of the rest of the day goes so much better. So I just wanted to encourage you to set really clear expectations. If there is anything that you can prep the night before, make it happen. I could just keep talking and I'm going to stop right there. We're just going to wrap it up right there. But prepping lunches, clothes, however you can make your morning easier. And it could just be that one little percent as you go through your day today and enter into tomorrow. When you're doing your morning routine, think, what would one thing be that I could change just to make this a little bit easier of a morning next time? So that's it. That's my encouragement. I'm hopeful that your school mornings go well, that there are very few tantrums and meltdowns. I'm praying for you and I love you. And if you need anything at all, I'm here and would love to help carry some of your load.